Hi everyone. Today we're going to start a new topic on the AS Unit 1 paper. We have fully completed the AS Unit 1 topic and topic 2 already. Under topic 1, which is hardware and software, there are 8 video lessons covering all theory and questions in this channel. And under topic 2, which is networks, there are 10 video lessons that cover entire theory and questions. I have put them in playlist so you can uh, listen to all the videos for each chapter. So likewise, today we are starting the set of lessons for topic 3, which is the online environment. So don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon to get the notification when I upload the new lessons. Part 2 of this topic will be uploaded tomorrow. So stay tuned. Okay, I got this screen capture from the latest Edexcel A-level IT subject specification. So under topic 3, you have four main subtopics. Those are in the screen. You can see the first subtopic, which is 3.1, the Internet and the World Wide Web, and then you have 3.2 section, which is online environment, and 3.3 is on online communities, and 3.4 the cloud. Don't worry that this is in tiny font and not easily readable, but we are going to cover all these in 4 video lessons. Today the focus is on 3.1, the Internet and the World Wide Web, simply called as www. Okay, so let's dig into the subtopics of section 3.1, the Internet and the World Wide Web. Okay. The internet, sometimes called simply the net, is a worldwide system of computer networks, a network of networks in which users at any one computer can, if they have the permission, get information from any other computer. The internet is a vast network of interconnected computers and devices that communicate with each other using a standard set of rules that we call as protocols. Here's a simplified overview of like how it works. We have these components, let's say devices and infrastructure. The internet is made up of millions and billions of interconnected devices, right? Including it could be computers, servers, routers, switches, mobile devices, and many more, right? And so these devices are connected via various means such as copper wires, fiber optic cables, satellites, and wireless connections. And then, so this every device that is connected to the internet is assigned a unique identifier to identify that device uniquely, which we called as an IP address. Called an IP address. Yes. IP addresses come in two main formats: IP version 4 that has 32-bit address, and IP version 6, IPv6, which has a 128-bit address. When we had earlier, we had IPv4 addresses, and since the bit address length is only 32-bit, we there's a problem with since there are too many devices connecting to the internet on daily basis. Since the number is increasing, we had to go for a more lengthier address space, which is 182-bit address, which we called as IPv6. Right. And these devices connect to the internet has to follow a set of rules I mentioned, which we called as in IT as protocols. Protocols are set of rules that govern like how data is transmitted and how data is received over the internet. The two main most important protocols are TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, and IP, Internet Protocol. So which together form the TCP/IP protocol suite. TCP ensures that data packets are delivered reliably and in order, while IP handles the routing of data packets between the devices. We learned about the TCP/IP in detail under network chapter, which is the previous chapter already. So if you are not clear, please go through the networks playlist. You can find the details of TCP/IP. Then we have the routing. Like when you send data over the internet, it is broken down into smaller packets, right? So each of these which contains the senders and recipients IP addresses as well as sequencing information like which packet is the order, and these packets are then routed through a series of interconnected devices called routers, which use different the routers are using different routing algorithms to determine like what's the most efficient path to the destination based on the IP addresses and the current network conditions. And then we have internet service providers. uh, we call them as ISPs. ISPs are companies that provide individuals and organizations with access to the internet. They are the service providers of internet. Good examples are Vodafone, BT, British Telecom. So they maintain networks of servers, routers, and other infrastructure that connect their customers to the broader internet. ISPs also manage the allocation of IP addresses and the routing of data within their networks. And then we have domain names and DNS. DNS, or the domain name system, is a phone book of the internet, connecting web browsers with websites, all computers on the internet, from your smartphone to laptop to the servers that serve content for massive retail websites, find and communicate with one another by using these numbers. So these numbers are known as IP addresses. When you open a web browser and go to website, you don't have to remember and enter a long number, right? Like instead you can enter a domain name like amazon.com and still end up in the right place, while IP addresses uniquely identify each device on the internet. uh, uh, they are not very user friendly because a sample IP address will be like 3.11.88.57 etc. So instead of typing in a string of numbers to access a website, we use domain names www.amazon.com. Domain names are like mapped to the IP addresses through a system called the domain name system. You have a uniquely identified IP address, and in front of that, it's mapped to Amazon.com. So the people like us doesn't have to remember those IP, those numbers. We just type Amazon, and you get the site. So that's why I said it's like a phone book for the internet. It has a number and the corresponding name, so we are using the name. And then we have data transmission, how the data is transmitted over the internet. So once the packet reach their destination, they are reassembled into the original data and delivered to the recipient. So this process typically involves multiple layers of communication protocols, including application layer protocols like HTTP for web browsing. We are typing http.www.amazon.com, right? And that define like how data is formatted and interpreted by different types of applications. So overall, the internet is a decentralized network of networks that relies on standardized protocols like TCP/IP and cooperative agreements between various stakeholders to facilitate communication and data exchange on a network. Okay, the internet can be used to communicate across large or small distances, share information from any place in the world, and access information. So let's see the usage of internet. Okay, users of internet. Okay, so nowadays it's like you wake up with the internet and then you go to sleep with internet, right? So always connected. So when we talk about how we connect and share stuff online, social media and content sharing platforms come into play, right? So it's like posting updates, sharing photos, videos, or articles with your friends and followers. And there are some apps like Instagram, TikTok, where like there are millions of followers checking the content. So then there is email, that chat platforms like IRC, internet telephony, instant messaging, and video conferencing. It's all about keeping in touch in real time, whether it's for work or just chatting with your friends from anywhere in the world. And now let's not forget about the education and self improvement as well. So like you have got access to huge resources like even online degree programs, courses, and workshops, webinars. It's pretty cool how you can learn new skills right from your own home, completing a degree or a master's while you're staying at home. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. And hey, you if you're looking for a job, the internet's got your back there too. Websites like LinkedIn are still are like all about connecting employers with job seekers. You can post job openings, apply for positions, and even recruit new talent, like all online. And there are online discussion groups and forums. It's like a digital hangout where people with a similar interest can chat, ask questions, and share ideas, share experiences. And let's not overlook online dating and gaming as well. Yep, you can meet potential partners or team up with friends for some online gaming fun. Uh, and last but not least, online shopping, aka e-commerce. It's like having the entire mall at your fingertips. You can buy pretty much anything online these days, from clothes to gadgets to groceries to furniture to anything. So yeah, the internet has really revolutionized the way we do all these things, making our lives a whole lot more convenient and connected. So, is internet and World Wide Web is the same? Because I have seen many students using these two terms. Uh, so, let internet is a global collection of different networks that is accessible to everyone and everywhere across the world. On the other hand, World Wide Web or the WWW is a system that we use to access the internet. WWW uses hypertext to access the information available on the networks. We access the web through web browsers such as Internet Explorer, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Safari. So, if we check what are the differences between Internet and World Wide Web, Internet is governed by Internet Protocol and WWW is by the HTTP. Internet is a collection of networks, and World Wide Web comprises of files, folders, and that are stored. And then Internet is the base and not dependent on World Wide Web. But World Wide Web depends on the Internet to work. Without Internet, you can't access those files and folders and that data. And another difference is internet is more towards hardware related, while World Wide Web is more into software side. Okay. We talked about the internet services providers earlier also. So, an internet service provider is an organization that provides services for accessing, using, managing, or even participating in the internet. ISPs can be organized in various forms, such as commercial, community owned, or non-profit, or otherwise privately owned. Uh, there are different tiers of internet service providers, such as there are national level ISPs, and then regional level ISPs, and then local level ISPs, like based on the hierarchy that they are providing the service. DNS and how it works. Okay. DNS also we discussed in the third slide, I guess. So DNS is similar to a phone book, as I mentioned before. So they maintain a directory of domain names and relevant IP address. This makes easy as people can remember names easily than a long set of numbers. Imagine you have to remember your friends' names as sequence of 15-digit number than just calling them James, Jaden. You have to call them like 3.162.186.14. It's hard, right? So, but computers communicate through IP addresses. Therefore, all domain name servers information in the internet are gathered in the central registry. We call it as the central registry. Host companies and internet service providers regularly connect with the central registry to get up to date DNS information, because that registry is getting updated every second. So the ISPs, the internet service providers, has to connect with the central register and be up to date. So when we type a web address like google.com, our internet service provider Example, like view the DNS and get the IP address. Let's say 216.8.196.144 associated with that domain name, and then direct internet connection to the correct website, so that we don't have to remember the IP addresses. Right. Next, we are looking at what are the positives and negatives of the World Wide Web. Okay, let's talk about the positives first. World Wide Web provides effective communication through emails, instant messaging, chats to any part of the world, and it improves because of that. It improves the business interaction and transactions, and it saves our time. You don't have to travel to the other part of the world to get the business done. And we also have the online banking and online shopping that makes the life easy by saving time and energy, and also it happens real time, and we can access the news of any part of the world within seconds. And also availability of online learning resources, online courses that makes people to learn easily and faster. And also people find it easy to apply for jobs online, and companies find easy to find new employees to recruit, and professionals can share their knowledge, materials, and helps on research. So those are some of the positives of World Wide Web, and let's see what are the negative impacts of World Wide Web. Uh, yeah, it's like, let's say, availability of illegal or inappropriate information online that is not suitable for children. And then some are addicting to social media, and it affects the people's personal life, and it affects the professional work in companies. People are spending too much time and they're addicting to social media, and people use internet to hack important information of other people, such as banking information, and they can hack their personal information, and it affects the privacy. And some use the internet to spread hate and terrorism, and then they can spread it in a bigger scale when we have the World Wide Web. So those are some negatives of World Wide Web. Right. So in your day-to-day life through internet, you access various type of websites, right? So you access news sites, you play games, you do online shopping, you download past papers, and etc. etc. So in these websites, it's a collection of web pages, right? So these web pages are two types. Some are static web pages and some are dynamic web pages. A static website is one where web pages are delivered exactly as they are stored with no real time content changes, such as a website that you access to download the past papers. Uh, so it loads as it is. But in contrast, a dynamic websites generates content in real time, typically using databases and scripting languages to provide interactivity and personalized experiences. Let's say a news website or an online shopping site such as Amazon.com are examples for dynamic websites. Let's see how static and dynamic websites differ, and advantages and its disadvantages of both of these types. Right. Advantages of static web pages. Okay, since static web pages don't require server-side processing or databases, they are typically cheaper to host compared to dynamic website. And static web pages are more secure because there are no server-side processing involved, and it reducing the risk of vulnerabilities like hackers do SQL injection or cross-site scripting attacks. And static web pages also load quickly because they are pre-built and don't require any processing to generate dynamic content. And it's simple to host because hosting static web pages is straightforward, as they only consist of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. So it's making them easy to deploy on any web server. And these are some disadvantages of having static web pages. Dependence on designers. Like if you need to make changes to your static website, you have to rely on a web designer or a web developer to manually update the code. This can be time consuming and may require additional expenses as well, and long-term maintenance cost, like adding new features or functionalities to the static website can be costly in the long run. As your website grows and evolves, maintaining it becomes more expensive, especially if you need frequent updates or enhancements. And it's also limited scalability. Static websites have limited scalability because, especially when it comes to dynamic content like product pages, each new product or piece of content requires manual creation of web pages, which can be inefficient and time consuming. And also, static web pages provide uh, no or less using interactions. Static websites lack interactive elements, which can lead to decreased user engagement. Without features like forms, comments, or dynamic content, visitors like us may become bored and less likely to return to the site. Right. So that's about the static web pages. Now let's see the same for dynamic web pages. Both advantages and disadvantages of having dynamic web pages. Okay. So advantages are easy content management. Dynamic web pages allow for easy creation of organized and structured content. There's no need to rewrite code, the write new programs or anything to update or change content, making it convenient for website management. And the database integration, dynamic pages can connect to database or data files to retrieve store data. So if we need to update data, we just have to update the database. So this enables features like user accounts, personalized content, and real-time updates. So it enhances the functionality of the website. And also it's cost effective. Content updates, updating content in dynamic pages is cost effective, because as I mentioned, changes can be made quickly without significant coding efforts, no programming. So this flexibility reduces the time and resources required for maintaining the website. And also the dynamic web pages provide more user engagement, meaning it offers interactive features that enhance the user engagement with elements like forms, comments, and dynamic content. So visitors are more likely to interact with such sites. You are greeted, sometimes you are greeted with your name, and depending on the location with the time zone, it greets us with the correct form of greeting as well. Right. And the disadvantages of having dynamic web pages are like, it has high initial development cost, because developing a dynamic website typically requires more time and resources, leading to higher initial costs compared to static web pages. And yeah, it has some integration complexity as well. Like dynamic websites need to integrate with database to display dynamic data. So it you have to deploy a database server and then deploy the web pages and then do the integration. So it requires some expertise in database management and integration. And also it has some security risk as well compared to the static pages, because dynamic web pages involve user interactions such as form submissions, data inputs, which can create security vulnerabilities without proper security measures. Dynamic websites are more prone to attacks like SQL injection or cross-site scripting than the uh, static web pages. Right. Scripting. Scripting simply refers to programming languages that automate tasks a human would do. It could be client side scripting or server side scripting. Client side computers request information, while server side normally serves this information. Let's take the internet as an example. Client computers are your mobile phones or laptops or desktops and tablets like that. So when you go to websites like YouTube, your devices, the client devices, request information from YouTube servers. So you are the client because your browser asks YouTube if you can watch videos and view the web pages. The server computer serves this information, allowing for a seamless browsing experience. So client-side scripting runs code like JavaScript on your phone or desktop, while server-side scripting runs on the backend server. So let's see more details on these two scripting types. Right. So client-side scripting runs code like JavaScript on your phone or desktop, while server-side scripting runs on the backend server. That way, it can deliver dynamic content to web pages in response to the client device. For an example, if you type your username and password into a website, the request from the client side goes to the server and processing occurs. It verifies whether there's a user with this username and if there is whether the password matches and etc. So that processing occurs at the server side. So once that processing completes, the server responds to the client with the results if this is a valid user or invalid user, if the password is correct or not. So these results are appearing in the client side. Client side uses the scripting languages such as HTML, cascading style sheet, which is CSS, and then JavaScript. Uh, it also sends the request via web browsers like Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Safari. So this allows the server this allows the servers to receive information within seconds, and the server side uses the coding languages like PHP, Java, C Sharp. Note that JavaScript can be used for both client side and server side scripting. And server-side scripting make use of hosting platforms like GoDaddy, SiteGround, and Bluehost alongside databases like Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, etc. So, to find out the language is client or server side, you have to look at where the language is compiled. If this process takes place on your computer, it's a client side language because your computer is a client. And if it is on the server side, it's a server side language. Let's say you are loading a standard web page and your browser asks for an HTML page. The server will also give you any associated CSS and JavaScript files. We receive this on the client side, but since CSS and HTML are markup languages, they are not compiled. But JavaScript is a scripting language, so it's gathered on our computer. Right. The advantages of client-side scripting are when a user loads a web page, front-end scripts populates the forms with information. Scripts put less stress on the server because they don't require processing on the server once they are downloaded. And in client-side scripting, it gives immediate response because they don't need to communicate with the server to respond. And since scripts are run at client side, only fewer resources are needed in the server side, and it's economical. You don't have to spend a lot of money on having uh, high-end servers. But the disadvantages of client-side scripting is that information displayed to the user will depend on the browser software and the version of the browser. When displaying details in the client-side devices, there could be issues and not might not display correctly in some browsers, some versions. Some scripts may not work at all if the browser versions is or the browser software is not supported. So those are the issues with client-side scripting. When we look at advantages of server-side scripting, server-side scripting helps to develop an interactive website that communicates with the database. It provides improved security measures since you can write code that can never be viewed from the browser. And also, when you don't want to spend much on the client machines, like we call it as thin client, and want to maintain thin clients, server-side scripting is better because you don't need much memory and processing power in your client machines. The server is doing all that because we are spending on a server, but not on all the, let's say there are hundreds of clients connecting to this thing. The company doesn't want to spend much on client machines because there are not much processing happening in the client side when we have the server side scripting. The disadvantages wise, servers need to have a better processing speed and Because of that, having high-end servers is costly. Also, sometimes it requires databases and data stores, which needs some setup time and some expertise and also some cost. So the implementation altogether will be high. Right. Okay. So with this information, we have covered the entire theory parts required for 3.1 section, that is Internet and the World Wide Web. So thank you for listening topic 3.1, Internet and World Wide Web. And the next lesson will be on topic 3.2, which is on operating online and the digital footprint. I have remember there have been some questions in the past papers as well on digital footprint. So stay tuned for the second lesson on the third chapter. Don't forget to subscribe. Once you click subscribe and click on the bell icon, you will get a notification when I add the next lesson. So let's meet with lesson 2 of this chapter, hopefully by tomorrow. Thank you.